Okay, we are live at lunch. Abigail Molina with Molina Immigration, where we melt the fear of ICE. Voy a tratar de hablar más en español hoy porque la mayoría de las preguntas que he estado recibiendo son en inglés, pero me encantaría contestar preguntas en español. Entonces voy a empezar de hablar en español y si me entiende puede hacer sus preguntas y voy a contestarlas. Así que estamos aquí todos los días, martes a sábado, en la hora de almuerzo para dar información, para dar apoyo a los inmigrantes. Mientras estamos esperando que entrara Trump, tenemos menos de 70 días para estar preparados. Entonces, estamos hablando de opciones de cómo hacer un plan. ¿Qué se debe de hacer para estar preparado? Porque sabemos que Trump ha hecho muchas promesas y todavía no sabemos aún cómo se va a cumplir con las promesas, pero entendemos que debemos de tomar en serio lo que él ha prometido. Él ha prometido deportar a millones de personas aquí, no solo los que tienen que están aquí indocumentados, sino también personas que tienen estatus legal, tal como algo temporal, como TPS o DACA. Entonces, estamos animando a todos, si no tiene residencia o si tiene residencia, que se haga ciudadano. Pero los que no tienen residencia todavía, que buscan una manera de arreglar rápido. Si tiene, por ejemplo, si tiene DACA y está en una relación con un ciudadano, pero por alguna razón no se han casado, si estén listos para casarse, recomiendo tomar el paso para casarse ya, porque sabemos que pronto va a haber mucha, bueno, ya estamos sintiendo el miedo, ¿verdad? Estamos sintiendo qué se va a suceder, qué va a pasar, quién va a estar deportado, quién no. Y yo creo que todos deben de hacer un plan. Si no pasa nada, pues qué bueno. Pero por lo menos yo siento, cuando yo tengo un plan, siento más en control, siento menos ansiedad. Entonces, si no pasa nada, pues está bien, estamos contentos. Pero si empieza a suceder lo que él prometido hacer, entonces estén listos, estamos listos, tenemos un plan, sabemos qué hacer, podemos tomar acciones sin prisa, con calma, haciendo decisiones con calma. Siempre es buena idea, mejor idea hacer sus planes junto con un abogado de inmigración para saber cuáles son sus opciones, cuál es la mejor estrategia, tener un plan A, B, C, D y todo esto. So, estamos animando a todos, toman acción, empiezan a hacer un plan. Muchas personas están diciendo que estamos exagerando, pero yo solamente estoy recordándoles lo que ha prometido Trump, y parte de sus promesas en las campañas fue de hacer deportaciones de millones de personas. Entonces, tenemos que tomarlo en serio. I'm doing mostly in Spanish today, so if that's not you, feel free to scroll on. I'll still answer some English questions if I see them. At Molina Immigration, why are they not suing the USA government for that scam, keeping family together? You call it a scam. I mean, Biden was doing his best to try to give something to spouses of U.S. citizens, and, the states that are anti-immigrant, they sued against it. So a judge who's anti-immigrant found that program can't go forward. Was it a scam? So who should be sued for that? I'm not sure I understand your question. I wish that, Harris had won, and then there could be the possibility of appealing that judge's decision. But unfortunately, Trump's coming in, and we know that he's not going to try to fight the decision to end that program. Rey dice, hola abogada, ¿cuánto tarda en llegar los recibos de la visa T? Normalmente como 6 semanas más o menos para un recibo. A veces tarda, a veces un poco más difícil cuando es una solicitud que no requiere un honorario, que no requiere un pago, tal como la visa U, la visa T. No requieren, para el momento, no requieren honorarios para esos tipos de casos. Otros casos, por ejemplo, un I-130 o un ajuste de estatus, tiene que pagar, tiene que mandar un cheque para hacer el pago. Entonces, es más fácil confirmar cuando ya cancelaron el cheque. Esto quiere decir que ya recibieron y también atrás en el cheque se puede ver el número del caso. Pero cuando son casos que no requieren pago, a veces tardan más tiempo en procesar recibos. Últimamente creo que tardaron en unos casos de nosotros unos 4 meses, 6 meses, algo así. Están demorando a veces más tiempo. Felicidades con la visa T, espero que tenga éxito. Es excelente opción para personas que han escuchado que no tienen opciones debido a, por ejemplo, entradas y salidas o algunos delitos. Entonces, la visa T es algo que no hay mucha información sobre la visa T, entonces a veces cuando alguien tiene una consulta con un abogado de inmigración, no saben las preguntas para hacer para descubrir una calificación para la visa T. Entonces, éxito con su visa T. Rey debe recibir una visa T. Suena. Project 2025. So I'm mostly talking in Spanish today, but keep listening. Like everything that we anticipate to come in the new year, the blueprint's already there in Project 2025. So you're talking mass deportations, taking away, even denaturalizing people who are already citizens. Just like Trump sues for everything, Dramatica. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. Oh, your blessing, don't be dumb. You think it's a scam because people got robbed of their money. I've heard that USCIS is actually thinking about giving refunds for cases that were processed, but that they can't approve. I'd love to see that happen. I was surprised to hear that might happen. It is unfortunate, but that's the deal with immigration, is that it's an agency that has to charge in order to run it. It doesn't get money. A lot of people don't know this, but actually the USCIS is a for-profit. They make money. They don't rely on taxpayer dollars to run their agency. So that's why they have to charge filing fees. Okay. Your blessing, don't be dumb. Also, they got robbed of the lawyer fees. If you worked with our office, you were fully informed that we anticipated lawsuits against this program, but that we still encourage people to get it in. I was hopeful at that time, I guess maybe a little naive, that I believed Harris would win and eventually the program would move forward. But if you worked with our office, you were informed that the fee is to do the work, and we can't guarantee how the government moves. Ok, me encantaría contestar preguntas en español. Si tienen preguntas. Dice Jenny, se canceló el programa de los que estamos casados con ciudadanos. El programa de Biden fue cancelado la misma semana, o sea, la semana pasada, como 2 días después de las elecciones. Un juez federal tenía el caso desde agosto y había escuchado argumentos el día de las elecciones, y 2 días después hizo su orden diciendo que el programa no puede avanzar. Yo no creo que Biden va a apelar esa decisión, porque pues nada va a cambiar antes de que entre Trump, y sabemos que Trump no quiere hacerlo. Dramatica, you can be your own lawyer. Yeah, I mean, you can. All of the forms are on USCIS. The problem is that it's getting more and more complicated to know how to fill out those forms. And if you make a mistake on it, not only could you be denied and lose the money for the filing fee, but then you're also at risk of deportation. So I highly recommend anyone to make sure you're talking with an immigration attorney before you're filing anything. First of all, you need to confirm that you're even eligible for that benefit. You know, it's a lot. Immigration law is second only to tax law as far as complexity. So it's complicated. I've been doing this since 2010 as a licensed attorney, and I'm still learning things every day. Prior to that, I worked as a legal assistant since 2000, so almost 2.5 decades in immigration law. This stuff is complicated, and unfortunately, I do see a lot of people trying to save a little bit of money and put themselves in a much worse situation than they were when they started. It's not a great idea. If everyone could be their own lawyer, they would be, Denise says. Yo, what about the permanent bar rule? So the permanent bar applies to people who have been here for more than 1 year after April 1st, 1996, and were here on more than 1 year undocumented, left the country and came back without a visa. That means that they need to go back to their country, wait 10 years, and then request a waiver after that. That is still in place. I don't expect, that's been since 1996. I don't expect that to change anytime soon. Tony está preguntando si tenemos oficinas en California. No tenemos una oficina en California, pero la ley de inmigración es federal, entonces se puede usar un abogado donde quiera. Tenemos personas trabajando en varios estados y varios países, pero nuestra oficina física está en Springfield, Oregon. Y nos puede llamar si quiere una llamada de descubrimiento. Es completamente gratuita. 541-653-8899 o puede buscarnos en las redes sociales. Nafis dice que mi esposo recibió su residencia en 2019. Nos casamos en 2020 y enviamos la solicitud para su... y luego corta. ¿Qué es lo que mandaron? Tal vez su residencia por medio de su esposo. Cuando alguien es residente, tiene que recordar que no es lo mismo como si fuera ciudadano solicitando a su esposo. Es completamente otro proceso. Entonces, recomiendo, ahora su esposo ya tiene 5 años con la residencia, califica para hacer la ciudadanía. Recomiendo hacerlo por la seguridad de su esposo y también para poder procesar la solicitud de usted, Nafis, mucho más rápido. Nafis también, su esposo tuvo un DUI el año pasado, por eso no está, tal vez por eso no está haciendo la ciudadanía. Sí recomendamos esperar 5 años después de un delito para hacer la ciudadanía, porque tiene que demostrar que tiene por lo menos 5 años siendo una persona de buena conducta moral. Así que si tenía un DUI el año pasado, recomiendo esperar. Lo siento mucho. Va a ir más lento su caso como casado con un residente. Cheetah, how about the TPS? I think TPS is going to be under attack. I mean, look at what all the horrible things they've said about Venezuelans with TPS in Aurora, Colorado. They're saying that it's like taken over by Venezuelan gang members, which is totally false. And then the famous lie about the Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, eating the cats and the dogs. I mean, they're just saying horrible things about people. There was also something in Pennsylvania. I mean, in each of these places, the local government has had to come on and say, like, that's actually not true. We're very grateful for the contributions that these immigrants are making in our communities. Like, for example, the one in Pennsylvania, like they're, doing work. A lot of people had like left the area. And so they're filling housing that was vacant. They're doing jobs that were, they were looking for people to employ in those positions. So I think TPS is likely to take a big hit. The way that TPS works is temporary protected status has to be renewed every so often, usually like 18 to 24 months. It's for people who have fled for political or natural disasters. For example, Haiti, there was a huge earthquake there. And so every so often they take a look and decide whether it's safe for people to return to those countries. Most TPS programs have just been continued for decades, but some, sometimes the situation improves. And so I would expect for the government to say miraculously, everything is improved. Everybody can go back home. Tan, hola, estoy con DCF. No sé qué es DCF. Hace 7 años tengo, ok. Tiene la visa juvenil, tiene 23 años, aún puedo aplicar para el Green Card. Entonces, la residencia basada en visa juvenil depende de qué país es y depende cuándo solicitó el I-360. Esa fecha le da lo que se llama la fecha de prioridad. Y cada mes el Centro de Visa Nacional hacen una nueva predicción, o no sé cómo decirlo, pero cada mes avisan cuáles meses están aceptando. Ahorita el programa de visa juvenil están atrasados como unos 4 años, 3, 4 años. Entonces hay que hablar con su abogado de inmigración, o si no tiene, llámanos y podemos avisarle cuándo le toca hacer la residencia. Mientras está en espera para la residencia, imagino que tiene su permiso de trabajo. Felicidades para el aprobado visa juvenil. Me encantan estas solicitudes porque son jóvenes muy especiales. Espero que se siente como, no sé, algo como que le pasó algo mal en su vida, pero como un regalo, pues un regalito de Diosito por lo que sufrió. Somebody's asking about tattoos and adjustment interviews. I've never had that come up in the US. It usually comes up at the consulate, either in the medical exam or usually at the medical exam because they're looking at your body, or and then also at the interview. So how do they measure that? I mean, yeah, it's completely subjective, but they have like supposedly lists of these types of tattoos are linked to gang affiliation. So then it's on you to prove that you're not a gang member. Yeah, it's asking if your mom gets deported, you're able to get her some type of paperwork through joining the military. That program is probably going to come under attack as well because the parole in place program that was just ended last week is similar to the military parole in place. That's why I'm really concerned about that decision and why I had such high hopes that program would move forward, because if it was ended, I felt like it was going to also impact the other PIP programs. So I would, if you're thinking about joining the military, you can definitely file now. Talk with an attorney first, make sure that she's going to be eligible otherwise. But I would think that program is probably going to go away, unfortunately. Trump tried to end it under the first administration. Tony Contreras, are you hiring attorneys? Yes, we're hiring all positions. If you saw our viral video this week, please have patience with us, but email your resume to maria@molinalawgroup.net, N-E-T. Yo, I'm not sure what you're saying. Your husband has a form called A something, but he also has the permanent bar. You guys have been married 25 years. I'm not sure what you mean. Liz, you just got your permit through VAWA. Congratulations, your work permit. You just did your adjustment for the resident card. You're in process. I think you're safe for now. Make sure you stay in contact with your immigration attorney and stay out of contact. Stay in contact with your immigration attorney and out of contact with law enforcement will be my advice for you. Cocor, tuve entrevista en junio, recibí una carta que la cancelaron y me dieron otra. ¿Por qué será? A veces lo que sucede es que no, como el oficial que iba a hacer la entrevista va de vacaciones y no está disponible, algo así. Pero a veces es algo más preocupante, como que encontraron algo y necesitan hacer un estudio antes de su entrevista. So, hay que estar hablando con su abogada de inmigración. Si no tiene, hay que consultar. Llámanos 541-653-8899. What about DACA or Dreamers? What happens, Dramatica? So what I expect could happen, likely will happen, is that he will just say, no more DACA, we're winding it down, which is what he said the first administration. And then there was a lawsuit, and that lawsuit is still ongoing. So that lawsuit impacted new people from applying for new DACA, but the people who already had DACA could keep renewing it. So I'm encouraging anyone with DACA that's expiring next year to renew now. You don't have to wait the 6 months. They say you do, but you can file now, even if it expires at the end of the year. File now before he takes office, because you're going to want at least that 2-year period to figure out your next steps. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, or you have, a lot of people already have like U.S. citizen children that are turning 21 soon. So make sure that if you have DACA, you're doing the advanced parole so that you can adjust status once you're eligible for that. Zaida's asking, is it too late to apply for advanced parole? I would still do it. I think it's worth, the risk. The benefit outweighs the risk for sure. I'm curious why not very many people have stayed on the live. I wonder if it's because I was speaking so much Spanish in the beginning, or maybe because it's Saturday. A lot of these questions are in English, so I think I'll just switch to English for now. But si tiene preguntas en español, házmelas, por favor, porque la mayoría de las preguntas son en inglés. Somebody's like putting the same question over and over again. You filed your I-360 since January 13, 2021. How long do I have to wait? That depends on if you were married to it depends on what your I-360 is based on, because that form is used for religious workers, for VAWA, for special immigrant juvenile. I think also for spouses, there's that form uses for a bunch of different things that I don't use it for, but so it depends on what type of application you're filing with that. 245I. You have the 245I. Unfortunately, Yo-Yo, gracias por explicarme lo que estaba diciendo. Desafortunadamente, cuando empezaron con el 245I en abril de 2001, pensábamos que íbamos a poder solicitar también para personas que tenían la barra permanente. pero había muchas demandas y en fin, como unos 10 años después decidieron por fin que no se puede. Entonces, personas que tienen el 245i ahorita y tiene la barra permanente, no se puede aprovechar de los beneficios del 245i. Dramatica, thanks for monitoring my my comment section. Y'all, she said it already. Just file it. Thanks, Dramatica. Y Montijo, do you think we will see SE? I don't know what that means. If your mom is renewing her resident card, that probably means she's also eligible for citizenship, depending on how old she is and how long she's had her residency. For example, if she's over 50 and she's had a residency for at least 20 years, she could do it in Spanish. So I don't know if maybe that's why she's choosing to renew it instead of doing the residency. And if she has at least 6 months on a residency, she can do her citizenship. She doesn't need to renew the residency too. So tell your mom she needs to become a citizen. I keep saying it, your vote is your voice. So if you don't like what happened, if you want to support immigrants with your vote and your voice, then you need to be eligible to vote, which means you need to become a citizen. Someone has a removal order from asylum and VAWA approved. The BIA will not join the motion. Are you still protected? Yeah, that's complicated and frustrating, but you're in the process. So I always say, like, someone who is in the process of removal, whether you're at the court level, the Board of Immigration Appeals level, or the Circuit Court Appeals level, like, you're in process. They, according to the laws right now, they have to give you the right to complete that process. That's part of your due process rights. So you technically can't be removed while you're in that process as long as you have a stay of removal. At the Board of Immigration Appeals, there's an automatic stay of removal if you file that appeal on time. Once you get to the circuit court level, you have to file a separate stay of appeal. But as long as you have that stay, in process and it's been granted by the court, you should keep that on you in case ICE picks you up and tries to do something funny. But you should be protected. También hablo español. Yo, gracias. Keep up the good work. Your information is very educational. Thank you. Should naturalized citizens be concerned? Frida, I came here with a green card and became a U.S. citizen. So Stephen Miller will be the Deputy Chief of Staff. He will be responsible for a lot of immigration policies. He's the one that helped create the Muslim ban and also the issue with the separation of the kids at the border. And so he also apparently, we're learning, was a part of the ramping up of the denaturalization program, which has been on the books always. Like, USCIS can take away citizenship from people that naturalized. It's only done, though, in the cases where someone is got it by mistake or by doing something fraudulent. usually that's the case. So during, like, historically, it's been like 11 cases that they've reopened, but it's a long, like, legal process to take away someone's citizenship. Stephen Miller says they're ramping it up. I think it's a huge waste of taxpayer dollars to investigate these. It's going to be basically a witch hunt. I think what it's going to cause is just more fear and chaos. Frida, I wouldn't be concerned unless there was some, like, some people come to me and they're like, well, I got my residency through my dad, but he was a permanent resident and I was supposed to stay single, but I didn't. I got married, but I told them I was single. That's considered fraud. And you can, that application shouldn't have been approved. There is a waiver for that, actually. So in those situations, I usually recommend people either get that waiver or just don't get their citizenship, because that could come to light. And then, or if you're granted the citizenship, like, it could, you could lose it later. So, answer your question, Frida, I don't think that you should be concerned. There's potential, but it's not likely. I'll just put it that way. Someone was here from 20 years. You're from Iran. You were in Turkey, Greece, Italy, England, and Canada. Man, what an experience. I'd love to be able to live in all those countries. How long does it take for a fiancé visa? So that's about two steps. So about 1.5 years total. También hablo español. Si quieren hacer preguntas en español. A ver. Oh, do you need to get the background check from those countries? So are you applying for citizenship, or what are you? Usually the background checks that are done is if you're processing abroad. So if you're here already, the fingerprints that you do, USCIS will use those to, check internationally as well. If you've ever had any kind of arrest or any contact at all with law enforcement, you're going to be required to disclose that, even if it was decades ago, even if it was something that was dismissed, you're going to have to disclose it, and you're going to have to give documents about what happened. Jamie, your boyfriend has an appeal for the removal order in the courts. Can you change the status now or wait? Yes, there is a process for that. You're definitely going to want to hire an attorney to help you with that. We'd be happy to take a look at that for you. 541-653-8899. Jasmine, DACA is expiring December 2025. Renew now, please. What are people eating for lunch? I haven't had my lunch yet. I need some good ideas. I always feel like I miss a bunch of comments. Jasmine says, thank you. You're welcome, Jasmine. How do you email your resume? Okay, so we've gotten like a ton of applications, which is amazing. Like when I made that video that went viral this week, like I did not expect that people would respond that way. I'm so grateful for it, because it indicates to me that people are concerned about what immigrants are going to be dealing with in the next 4 years. So that's really exciting. If you are still interested, please see our another video that I put with some instructions about how to apply. Frida's eating chili. Oh, nice. I love making chili. Actually, a little trivia tip, piece of trivia about me is that I found a really cool recipe for chili online somewhere. Actually, it includes venison, and somebody had given me some venison, so I was like Googling venison chili. This was like maybe 10 years ago, and since then I've entered 2 chili cooking competitions, and I won both of them. So I am a proud winner of a chili cook-off. I love chili. It's delicious. Saul says USCIS cannot take your citizenship once you have it. They have to go through a court process. Correct. It's not like they can just send you a letter and say you're no longer a citizen. Bye-bye. Like, definitely, it's a long, extensive process that they have to prove that you either committed some kind of fraud or you were ineligible for citizenship when you received it. So, yeah, Saul's right. They can't just take it away, but they can take it away. If they can prove their case. And apparently Stephen Miller is interested in doing that. Not to Elon Musk, Trump's new BFF, because even though he came here on a J1 visa to study and didn't study, he started a business instead and was working without authorization. How long does it take to get an asylum interview? Probably decades. I've got clients waiting since 2016. Other attorneys have clients waiting even longer. It depends on where the person is from. Certain countries are taking priority. It also depends like what asylum office you're processing, and they're just overwhelmed with applications. And the problem is that if a interview needs to get like rescheduled, if they don't finish the interview on the first one and then that officer is no longer working there, like the case basically restarts. So it's a mess. Instead of building walls and spending money denaturalizing people, they need to just fix their systems. Bula, I definitely recommend you apply for citizenship now. If you qualify, you're going to be safer and you'll be able to vote once the next, hopefully we still have a democracy in 4 years, guys, like in all honesty. La Vida is going to file an I-130 for your wife. She's in the U.S. We got married here. You have a green card. When will she get approval? It depends. When you become a citizen, it'd be much easier to apply for your wife as a citizen than as a green card holder. So I would recommend you do that. You can also start the I-130 now. You don't have to wait to become a citizen. You can do it now, but it will be faster and easier. For example, if she entered with a visa, she can easily adjust her status if you're a U.S. citizen. But if you're a permanent resident, she can't do that. So if she entered without a visa, then she's going to probably need a waiver. So that's going to be a long process. You can do that as a green card holder, but it will be faster if you become a citizen. Oh, La Vida, she entered with an F1. Perfect. Yeah, so you can't do the adjustment of status as a permanent resident applying for your spouse that entered on student visa, but you can at least file the I-130 now to get the ball rolling. And then I would recommend you file the N-400 for yourself to naturalize. And then once you've done the oath and you get your certificate of naturalization, then you can file for the I-45 adjustment of status. Okay, Michaela, your husband was deported before, and now he's been here for 10 years. Does he have an option? It gets more complicated when you're deported, so make sure you're talking with an immigration attorney. We'd be happy to give you a free discovery call for that, 541-656-8899. My opinion on the U visa is that Congress needs to either eliminate the cap or raise the number of applications that can be approved. I don't think that when they started the program, I think it's been almost 20 years now, when they started the program, I don't think they thought that there was going to be that many people that would qualify. There's currently 10,000 per year, and there's a waiting list of I think it's 15 years and now at this point. So my thoughts on U visa is that they're going to be taking even longer and face more scrutiny under Trump, and that Congress should fix that problem. But now that we have a Republican Congress, getting anything positive for immigration is probably going to not happen. The background check fingerprinting for adjustment of status is just a check for any contact with law enforcement, any criminal history, any deportations, any anything. Monica, you filed an I-130 for your son. You're a resident. He's 20. Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't have DACA. He came with a visa. If you can become a citizen, I would definitely recommend that. That's going to be much easier for him. But make sure you're talking with an immigration attorney about all of the strategy options around that. Can you get DACA and a U visa? Yes, you can apply for both. What about Afghan evacuees? I think our government really messed up with this. It was a mess. And especially people who like helped the government, they're just screwed there. So can they apply for asylum? Definitely they should apply for asylum. Every election, they keep allowing Republicans to fool them that they will fix the border. Exactly. I mean, Trump was going to build a wall. What happened with that? And then he said Mexico was going to pay for the wall. What happened with that? You are waiting on an I-730. So that's an application that you file for family after you've been granted asylum. But now they have TPS. What if TPS is removed? That I-730 should get approved pretty quickly. Usually takes about a year. So hopefully you can stay in status until then. Yeah, and they don't want to fix it because then they can use it for a talking point. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. We had a bill in Congress that had bilateral support, both Republican and Democrats. It would have really helped with border security, and it would have been a pathway to citizenship for dreamers. And it was like getting ready to be signed into law, basically, or voted, and then Biden was going to sign it into law. And then Trump made a few phone calls, and people pulled their vote, and the bill was killed. So you got to ask yourself, is this really a problem that they want to solve? Or not. Marcy, I can't see what type of application you filed that's being actively reviewed since May. Should you hire a lawyer to look into it or just wait? I mean, you can try calling 1-800-USELESS. Good luck with that phone tree. Definitely recommend you a marriage petition. So it's taking about 9 to 12 months for an adjustment of status, depending on where you live. Like here in our district in Oregon, it's taking about 9 to 12 months. So you did the I-130, I-45. Yeah, again, depending on where you live, since May, that's not that long. You should have your work permit by now, though, hopefully. There's some great questions, you guys. Good job. Good. Marcy got her work permit. Perfect. Definitely, though, I would expect we're in November. One thing I expect to change about marriage-based petition is a return to interviews. So if you don't have an attorney right now, which it sounds like you don't, check in with an attorney, have them look over your petition, see if there's anything that's missing, see if you need to be prepared for anything in an interview, potentially ask about hiring them to represent you at an interview. I would expect interviews to start early next year, which is going to make things longer. It's going to be a pain to go. What they're looking for at the interviews is for any marriage fraud, but it's really not. An interview is really not needed. Like they can do it based on evidence, paperwork, bank accounts, bills, all that stuff, proof that you're actually living together. But apparently, they think interviews somehow help. So I would expect an interview for your case. Oh, wow, you filed the I-730 in 2021. You definitely want to get congressional support on that. Talk with your representative. That's definitely out of processing time. We just had one come from Afghanistan on a 730. And, a lot of them, the problem is that there's a lot of people waiting. And so you have to get your representative to push through and expedite and explain how their case is more urgent than the other cases that are waiting. You're welcome, Marcy. Good luck. Your spouse passed a citizenship interview, but the decision cannot be made since May 20th. 120 or 120 days has passed. Make sure you're talking with an immigration attorney about the steps you need to take. You can eventually sue the government. It's called a mandamus, to mandate that they take action on your case if a certain amount of time has passed. But you have to take some steps before you can just go straight to suing. Don't be like Trump, who just like goes in straight and just doesn't ask. Like, follow the rules, and you'll have better outcomes. Basically, what happens when you file a mandamus, though, is like the government's like, oh, shoot, yeah, we just have been sitting around on this. We'll go ahead and decide it. But you have to be prepared that the answer, they're mandated to make a decision. But the decision could be a denial. So you have to be prepared for that and be ready with the next appeal. Grace, do I think that Trump will end DACA? Absolutely. It's horrible. I don't agree with it. I don't approve of it. But, since I've been working with immigrants since 2000, and they've been talking about Dreamers since 2000, and they haven't done anything since 2000. Finally, Obama did something in 2012, which was DACA. And as soon as Trump took office, that was the first thing he went after. So since 2017, 2018, I can't remember when the injunction went through, you can't do new applications. So anybody that was under 16 when that took effect and didn't have DACA, they can't apply for it now. And so the only people who can apply for it are people who are renewing. Do I think that the Supreme Court will overrule it again? I can't remember. I think that actually it will be going up before the Supreme Court in the next year. So it'll be interesting with this Supreme Court to see what happens. But I do not have hopeful expectations for DACA. If you have DACA and you've been just putting it off, like eventually I'll file for my green card, eventually, like, please stop saying eventually and start taking action. Yeah, Joey says, if you want to save DACA, talk to your congressional representatives. They can save it. Congress has the power to, create legislation. DACA is just a policy, a program that Obama started. But if we want laws, it has to go through Congress. That's what I don't get. They want people to do it the right way, but still make it hard/impossible. Exactly. Our consultation fee, we have a free discovery call process. You call in, you'll talk with us, we'll gather all your information. And as I was saying earlier, so we were talking about a T visa. A lot of times what happens with consultations is that the questions are really surface level. We try to go a little bit deeper to see, especially on cases where they have a permanent bar or, there's not any other options. We try to see if there's anything that nobody's discovered before, like some experience when you first got here or in your coming here, or something that happened maybe in your family situation that we could help to find an option. Bumblebee, I love that name. I'm glad you sent in a resume. Thank you for doing that. We are going to be reviewing those resumes and getting back to people as quickly as we can. So exciting that so many people want to help immigrants. That's the hope that I see. Like, I'm so discouraged that half the people voted, or over half the people of America voted for someone who wants to deport millions of people who call this home. But the hope in it is that other people who are responding and rising up to support immigrants. Grace, is there any pathway for Dreamers at all, or is it just marriage? There's a sort of a way through employment, but I don't do employment loss or immigration employment loss. So make sure that you consider that if you're not in a position to get married, or if you're already married to someone who also doesn't have status. Excuse me. All right, guys, I've been on about an hour now, so I'm going to jump off. And I will see everybody back here Tuesday around the lunch hour, live at lunch. Bring your immigration questions. Gracias a todos. Si estaban con nosotros, voy a estar terminando hoy y vamos a regresar el martes. Estamos aquí martes a sábado entre la hora de lonche. Traigan su lonche y podemos platicar y contestar sus preguntas. Y ahorita yo voy a comer mi lonche. So have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining, and we'll talk with you guys next week. Stay safe.